All right. So hi, everyone. Welcome to the SMConnect enrollment webinar. My name is Vivica Demel, and I am one of the outreach counselors, and I'm going to let my fellow counselors also introduce themselves.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Diana Moreno, and I am also one of the counselors at SMC.
Hi, good morning. My name is Claudia Carroll. I'm also part of the outreach team, one of the counselors.
Hey, good morning, everyone. My name is Stuart Ortiz. I'm also one of the SMC counselors in the outreach office.
All right, so what we're going to do is start with a very short video that we're going to play for you that goes over in depth how you guys use your Corsair Connect account in order to sign up for classes. After that, we're going to talk about a little bit more useful information, such as the SMC College Promise, summer courses, what our online format is looking like for summer and fall as well. That sounds like a lot of information, but it's really only going to take up probably about 20 minutes. And then after that, we're going to open it up to questions from all of you guys. So as the video is playing, as we're talking, please feel free to type in anything you want to be asked into the Q&A section. And then we will be answering it right after we're done with our presentation. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the video. Can everyone see the screen? Counselors, yes? Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Vivica Demel, and I'm one of the SMC outreach counselors. Today, we just wanted to take a few minutes to walk you through how you would use your Corsair Connect account in order to enroll for your classes for either summer or fall 2020. So in order to enroll, the first thing you have to do is log into your Corsair Connect account. You do that by going to smc.edu, selecting login, and then Corsair Connect. From here, you would enter in your SMC ID number, which you would have received in an email after you applied to SMC. So if you don't know it, please make sure to go through your email and look for an email from Santa Monica College that should have arrived after you applied. From there, you're going to enter in your password as well. Now, if this is your first time logging in to your Corsair Connect account, your password is actually going to be your birthday, MMDDYY. So it's going to be just the last two of the year. Once you do that, you will be prompted to create a unique password for yourself, which you can then use to log into your account. Once you do that, you're going to select login, and it's going to take you to the Corsair Connect homepage. And this homepage is really important, so please take the time to really look through it and navigate all of its different features, because it really does have everything that you need. So for example, you can see here on the left-hand side, My Ed Plan. One of the most important things that you have to do before you sign up for classes at SMC is to meet with a counselor and create an education plan. This plan is based specifically on your needs, so what you want to study and exactly what your educational goals are. So you would speak to a counselor over the phone, and they would help you with creating an education plan that would then be used to guide you as you register for your classes. We also have some great tutoring services, so please use the tutoring appointments in order to make an appointment for that. You can access your SMC email account through here. And then SMC Quick Links has so much great information that you guys can use if you have specific questions or would just like to know more about specific subjects. A few that I want to point out to you are the financial aid link. When you click on this, it would actually take you to your financial aid page where you can see the most updated information regarding that. So please make sure to check that very often in case we do need additional information from you in order to process your financial aid. Also, we have the online orientation. Another step that most new students have to complete is an online orientation. This is a series of videos that we ask students to watch to help them better get acquainted with our campus and everything that we have to offer. So please take the time, if you haven't done so already, to complete the online orientation. It shouldn't take more than 30 to 45 minutes to finish up. Up here, we have your placement score. So please click on your placement tab in order to view the specific English and math class that you were placed in. Again, this is why meeting with a counselor is so important. You will see multiple math placements come up. Depending again on your major and your educational goals will dictate what math class you need to take. And when you meet with a counselor, they would be reviewing that with you as well. Now, in regards to enrollment, you want to make sure before doing anything else to check this box right here, which says your enrollment priority date for summer/fall 2020, and then a date and time. Now, each of you guys will have a unique date and time to your account. So for this account, the date is April 27th at 9 a.m. What that means is that I can log in on April 27th at 9 or anytime after that in order to enroll for my classes. Before that, I will be blocked and unable to enroll. So please make note of your date and time and try to enroll as close as you can to that date and time. Every day that passes, more of our classes are filling up. So we want to ensure you have the best selection possible. And that means enrolling as quickly as you can, given your unique date and time. So please take a picture of it, write it down in your calendar, whatever you need to do to remember that. So on your date and time, what you want to do is go to this homepage and you want to select the enrollment tab in the top right-hand corner. From there, it's going to take you to a new page that offers you a drop-down list of different semesters. You want to select the specific semester that you're interested in signing up for. So for example, if you're signing up for summer and fall, you can click on summer, sign up for your summer classes, and then come back here and select fall to sign up for your fall classes. Now keep in mind, summer is not required. So if you're just signing up for fall, you can go ahead and just click that right away. Now, sometimes a yellow box might pop up with a message that's blocking you for enrolling. Please read this box very carefully and complete whatever steps it's asking you to complete so that you can enroll for your classes. So the two most common ones you might see is a block because you haven't created an education plan, which means you do need to contact us so that we can do a phone appointment and help you guys finish that. Or it might be a block for your online orientation, in which case you would go back to the homepage of Corsair Connect, select online orientation, and then complete that. Once you complete whatever steps it's asking you to, when you come back here, this yellow box should disappear, and then you would be able to enroll for your classes. So let's navigate to show you exactly what it looks like to enroll. When there are no holds, this is what the page would look like, and you're going to navigate this menu in order to enroll for your classes. So the first thing you want to do is select search for classes. This will open up a new tab for the class schedule, and it'll allow you to search across all of our different subjects for any class that you might need. So you can see here the semester says fall 2020. You can also change that to summer 2020 if you need to. For class status right here, it automatically populates at open and closed and see instructor. Now this will show you both classes that are available and classes that have already been filled or are closed. If you're not interested in seeing classes that have already been filled up, you can go right here and just click open instead. It's totally up to you which way you want to search. And then all of the different subjects you can search for are right here. So just for example, let's take English and search for English 1. So you're going to click on English composition and then press search right here. And what it's going to do is pull up all of the English classes offered at SMC. So you can see here, there are multiple English 1 sections that are open for students that are located, that are on different days and times. Now, we also have the locations and the room numbers on here. Please keep in mind that as of right now, our fall schedule is going to be online, so you don't need to pay attention to the location or the room numbers. But you do still want to look at the days and times. So please make sure you scroll through and really see what all of your options are, because there are many different classes of English 1 that you can sign up for. So let's say that you want to sign up for the Monday, Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 9:20 a.m. class. Each class is assigned a unique section number. You would then take that section number, so 1984, you would come back to your enrollment page and you would click add a class. From there, you would type in the section number, the 4-digit code, and you would click add the class. and this would officially enroll you in that English 1 section. You can then click reset, go back to the search tab, and then select the next course you want to sign up for. So maybe that would be, math. You would scroll down, you would click search again, and then again, you would scroll through to find your correct math class. So the first thing you have to do is find the course number. So let's say you were told to take Math 2. You would go and scroll through until you find Math 2. You would again look at all the different days and times that Math 2 is offered. And then you would want to click on the section number, go back, type it in again, and then click add the class. At the end of all of this, all 4 classes that you signed up for, or however many classes you're interested in, would be populated in a table right here. Once you see all the classes that you need to take in the table, you know that you've enrolled for all the classes you need. So a couple things I want to point out right here is sometimes under the section number, you can see this icon, the I. Make sure you click on that because sometimes there is more information that it tells you. So for example, you can see here that it says that section 2804 is part of the Scholars Program. What that means is if you're not part of the Scholars Program at SMC, you're unfortunately not able to sign up for that section of Math 2. But there are a lot of other sections offered, so please make sure you navigate through all of it. Now, a few other things I want to show you. Let's say that you signed up for a class by mistake that you actually don't need. You can always go to drop a class right here, type in the section number of the class you want to drop, and then click drop the class. We also have another option called swap a class. So if you're looking to switch out one section of English for another, or you actually, want to take a music class instead of philosophy, let's say, what you can do is enter in the section number of the class you want to drop right here, enter in the section number of the new class, and then click swap classes. Essentially what this does is it allows you to ensure that you're only dropping that first class if you're able to get the other one. So it won't drop you until the new one is added. So it's kind of a great safety precaution to make sure you're not dropping a class and not able to get a new one. We also have this great feature here called wait for a class. So as you can see, sometimes you're gonna come across sections of classes that you might be interested in, but they're already closed, which means that they're already fully enrolled. However, we do have the wait for a class option. So what you would do is take the section number of that class, so 2814, you would type it in here and click wait for the class. This allows you to be notified if for some reason other students decide to drop this class, that the class is now available. Now keep in mind that this is not a guarantee that you will get a seat in the class. It is just a notification system to let you know if a class goes from closed to open again. So please use this if there are classes you think you're interested in but are currently closed. Now down here, we also have the fees area which you can navigate. So you can click on fee assessment to view how much your fees would cost for the semester. You can also pay your fees online using this feature right here. You can also apply for the California College Promise. So if for some reason you are a California high school student and you did not fill out the FAFSA, you can also click here to fill out the California College Promise grant fee waiver information to see if you would qualify for that. You can also access your student record. So in the future, if you need to find your unofficial transcript, if you need to view your placement history or anything like that, you can click on student records in order to view all of that information. So again, the two most important functions of this are the search for class, which takes you to the class schedule, and the add a class button, which is where you would type in the 4-digit section number of the class you're interested in adding. And then you can always go back to the home page in order to get back to your Corsair Connect account. So again, please take the time to go through your Corsair Connect account because there's so much great information on here that you're going to need to use during your time at SMC. Also, please keep in mind that the counseling office is always available to answer any questions that you have over the phone or through other online methods. So please make sure to contact us if you haven't already done your education plan, or if you have any additional questions about your classes or about the enrollment process. We are always here to help and support you as much as we can. So with that, thank you guys all so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye. All right. So I hope that video was helpful for you guys in terms of learning more about the actual process of signing up for your classes. Again, I just want to remind you, if you guys have questions, please feel free to type them into the Q&A box. Claudia is doing an awesome job of typing in some answers right now. So you can actually click on answered questions and you can view all the questions that have already been answered. So please make sure you do that and then continue to type questions, and then at the very end, we'll also read them aloud and answer them for you. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Stuart, who's going to talk a little bit about the SMC College Promise Program.
All right, thank you, Vivica. And one reason we're talking about the SMC Promise, or Santa Monica College Promise grant aid, one, it's because it's an important thing that's very beneficial to you. Also, we didn't see it in the video. The video was great, but we use a sample student that is based off a current student. And SMC Promise is geared towards our new incoming students, which would be you, specifically new students coming out of a California high school, any California high school, public or private. So if we have any out-of-state students, possibly any international students that are joining us today, welcome. We do have other types of financial aid for you, but again, when I refer to the SMC Promise, it is for our students coming out of California high school. To add a visual, I believe my colleague Vivica, while I talk, might be able to share a screen so we could show you a visual where you could find some more information off the SMC website. If any of you have already enrolled in classes and just had additional questions, as part of your enrollment, you may have already seen some messaging regarding SMC Promise. And also, just to kind of piggyback off the video, my colleague Vivica highlighted in the video the California College Promise Grant, which we often refer to as the fee waiver. So, and students sometimes mistakenly assume that it's one and the same because the word promise is in both, but it's two separate things. They often work in conjunction. What was highlighted in the video, the California College Promise Grant fee waiver, is more of a tuition waiver that students can qualify for, again, for California high school students. And that could be for students when they qualify, whether they apply through FAFSA or DREAM Act, or as was mentioned in the video, if they're applying just directly for that fee waiver, if they haven't filled out a FAFSA or DREAM Act yet, they can qualify for tuition. Tuition only, it wouldn't necessarily cover books or additional student fees like ID card, health fee, etc. But students can qualify for this, and it would be noted on their Corsair Connect, and that can be applied directly, automatically, with no separate application per se, and it can apply for students even if they have enrolled in just one class. SMC Promise, when we go to the website, the SMC Promise is a little bit different. We're kind of looking at two main things for students qualifying. One, are you graduating from a high school in California? So again, for our seniors incoming to SMC, and enrolling in the fall for 12 units or more. So I'm just gonna give you the quick highlights. 12 units or more at SMC in the fall. Students can take a summer class, but the SMC Promise really starts in the fall. Students may qualify in the summer, but typically it doesn't happen just because of the amount of units. So again, 12 units, which is considered the baseline minimum full-time in the fall, 12 units or more, a student can qualify for SMC Promise as long as they have that and they've filled out a FAFSA or DREAM Act and it is on file with SMC. And a lot of times students think, well, I may not necessarily qualify for financial aid, so I'm not going to fill out a FAFSA or DREAM Act. It isn't contingent upon even qualifying for financial aid, although the majority of our students do. It's contingent upon having a FAFSA or DREAM Act on file. So just the act of having it on file with enrolling in the 12 units or more in the fall would qualify for any new student coming out of a California high school. So that's the basic gist of it. You can be an AB 540, essentially a DACA Dreamer student, if you've filled out the DREAM Act, and eventually you fill out the AB 540 affidavit. For our students who are filling out the FAFSA, they could qualify as well, the 12 units. And the SMC promise can be applied for the entire first year. It is contingent upon students completing 12 units or more at the end of those main terms, fall and spring. You could always take winter or summer class, but they're specifically looking at, did you complete 12 units or more fall and spring? And SMC promise is available for a second year. So we do have students who have received it in the first year and are now continuing on and receiving it in the second year. What are the benefits? Well, I mentioned it can work in conjunction with the California College Promise Grant. So if a student was already receiving the fee waiver, then now they may be able to qualify for a book voucher up to $1,200. That number can vary according to the amount of books necessary, the cost, the term, but up to $1,200 for the year book voucher, and that can also roll over for the second year. So if you are already receiving fee waiver, if you're already getting your tuition fees covered, now you're going to qualify for books, and it'll cover those additional student fees, which is usually not that much, a little over $50 approximately, the ID card, the health fee, etc. That is also covered part of SMC Promise. So SMC Promise does go a little bit more above and beyond the fee waiver. If a student wasn't going to qualify for financial aid, so I filled out a FAFSA, but my parents make a significant amount of money and I won't qualify for financial aid through SMC Promise, now that'll fill in the gap of the fee waiver. So it's a great benefit. There's a lot more details on here, FAQ page. So we'll leave it at that, but we really want to highlight the SMC Promise. Final thing is where you would see it on Corsair Connect. We are not able to show it to you with our sample student, but when you go onto Corsair Connect, you'll see a prompt that says opt in or join today for SMC Promise once you hit that 12 unit mark, or you'll see a link on the left side menu, very closely placed to that California Promise Grant. You'll see that link there available to students. So we encourage all of you that are eligible to qualify to definitely opt in. It is a very beneficial thing. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Stuart. And now we're going to hear a little bit from Claudia about our summer and fall classes.
All right, so I just wanted to recap. I know some of you may be interested in enrolling in both summer and fall, or some of you have already enrolled in summer or fall classes. And so just some things to clarify. I know that in the video when we reviewed searching for classes, one of the challenges right now is that a lot of our summer courses have already begun to fill. So if you are searching for classes for summer, it is entirely possible that you might be looking for a anthropology class and all of them are filled. So when you use our search function on the website, depending on the parameters you indicate, if you only select to see our open classes, it's possible that the results will come back as no classes found, because there may be no open anthropology classes that still have available spots. So that is one thing to be aware of. You can open up your search parameters if you want to see any of our anthropology classes that are being offered this summer, and you will see that some may be open, some may be closed. And then you can make a decision about whether you would like to pursue some of the other options like our open seat notification list in order to still have a chance to get into those classes. So just things to be aware of. Currently for fall, we still have lots of openings in a lot of our departments, so you'll probably have less issues in getting no results back for your search, but just be aware that as we proceed into the summer, that will also start happening with particular programs. So some areas are just more popular than others. Everyone needs to take English, everyone needs to take math. So when you do speak with a counselor, which is what we recommend, and we will go over that process on how to contact a counselor. But when you speak with them, a great question to ask is, if you have, let's say, 4 classes on your education plan, which one is potentially the one that would be the most popular, or there's the least courses offered in a particular field, and you might want to start enrolling in those classes first. and then build the rest of your schedule around that. So just some quick suggestions as you start to search for classes for summer and fall.
Thank you, Claudia.
Mm-hmm.
And Diana's going to talk a little bit about how our online classes are going to be looking for the summer and fall semester.
Okay, so you may have already heard that because of the current situation, our summer and fall terms will be offered online, but you do have some options as far as how they will be taught. And I just wanted to point out and give you some more information of how to find that. When you go in the class schedule and you search for classes, there's a little icon that you can click on, and it'll show you a little bit more of information about how the class is being taught. So there are 3 different ways that the classes are going to be labeled. They are all offered online, but they're being taught in different ways. So the first one is going to be marked flexible. A class that is marked flexible is fully online and is taught primarily through Canvas. So think of this as the more traditional like online class where you have work to complete, but you're going in at your own time to complete this work. The second type of label that you'll see on these classes are classes marked scheduled. These classes are also fully online, but they are taught through Canvas and may have Zoom meetings where you actually have to log in during that scheduled time. So I know that there's been a little bit of confusion because some classes will say that they are offered Tuesdays and Thursdays, for example, from 9 to 10:35. So if that is a scheduled class, do plan to prepare to be Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 10:35 to be logging in to Zoom to meet with your professor. And the final and third label that you'll see on your classes are classes marked with flexible with scheduled exam. These classes are kind of taught in both ways. So you'll be doing some independent work, but you may be required to log into Zoom or to Canvas to complete things like quizzes or exams. So just pay a little bit of attention to that, depending on what you have going on. If you want a little bit more flexibility, just know that there are the little icon on there will give you some more information about how the professor plans to sort of teach that class.
Thank you guys so much. So the last thing I want to do real quick before we start taking questions is I'm going to share my screen again, and I want to show you guys how you would make an appointment to meet with a counselor. So once you go to the SMC homepage, you want to click on Student Services. And under Student Services, you can see all the different counseling / programs. I do encourage you guys, please take a look at this list. We have a lot of different support programs that we offer our students. We think it's really important to take advantage of the different programs that we have. So please make sure you look at it. Different programs also have different ways to meet with counselors if you are part of one of those programs. But if you're looking to meet with a general counselor, you can click on Counseling Department right here. You can click on how to connect with a counselor. And then you want to select which category you kind of fall into here at SMC. So for example, most of you guys, if not all of you guys, should be new first-year students. So you want to click on that. It will take you to this page here. You click on counseling, and then you can select the counseling callback queue. You would click on this. It's going to ask you to fill out some information like your name, your number. It says the service is not available at this time because it is a weekend, but starting on Monday at 8:30, you could come back here, click on this. It'll ask you to fill out your name and your phone number, and then you will submit it. And essentially you will be placed in an online line. And once it's your turn, a counselor will call you back. So you do want to keep your phone with you to listen for that call. But it is a very easy way of speaking to our counselors. It should also let you know about how long it's going to take for a counselor to call you back as well. So this is how we're currently taking appointments. So again, if during this presentation you heard us talking about the importance of an ed plan and doing all of that. So if you haven't done an ed plan yet and you need to sign up for classes, please make sure, starting this coming Monday, you log into that callback queue and you sign up in order to meet with a counselor. So with that, I am going to start reading out the remaining questions. So again, if you have questions, post them in the Q&A, and we're going to start reading these. All right, so the first question says, hi, my goal is to do 2 years at SMC for general ed, then transfer to Los Angeles Film School. But I've talked to counselors from LAFS and they are saying I should go straight to the school instead of going to SMC. I want to take marketing classes as well at SMC, so I just need some advice on what might be the best option for me or what an SMC counselor might recommend. Stuart, would you like to answer this question?
Sure. So if I'm understanding the question correctly, the student eventually wants to go to the LA Film School, and they've asked or recommended that he start with them from the beginning, but the student wants to start at SMC and is also interested in some marketing classes. Is that? And, ultimately, the nice thing about college is it's the student's decision, so you're in control of that decision. I think a lengthier conversation would be best had one-on-one, but the one thing I can say is that, SMC does offer the opportunity for both, for students to take business marketing classes, media marketing classes, and then to also have film studies and film production classes here. So you do have that opportunity to take those classes here and eventually transfer to the LA Film School if they have discussed any benefits as to starting with them directly. Again, I think that's the piece that would be best handled one-on-one. As far as the details of what that conversation was and just some things that may be more applicable to your particular situation. We don't want to necessarily apply it to all students, but that's also one of the benefits of SMCs, that you'll always have counselors at your disposal. Today on a Saturday in a group setting, information based, but that one-on-one to really help you on your academic journey. So we look forward to speaking with you soon.
Thank you. The next question is, where can I find a list of transferable schools I can go to after getting general ed at SMC done? Diana, would you like to answer this?
Absolutely, I can answer this. So the great thing is that you can transfer almost anywhere. You can transfer to the UCs, schools like UCLA, UC Santa Barbara, UC San Diego. You can transfer to the Cal State system. You can transfer to private schools like USC, LMU, or out of state, or even out of the country. SMC has some really cool agreements with some schools out of the country as well. So it really is just based on you and what your goal is and what you want to study. What I would definitely recommend is that you meet with a counselor to kind of discuss those things. What are you interested in studying? We'll ask you a little bit more about what type of school settings you're interested in. We can definitely provide some suggestions. I know that there are some list of transfer admission guarantee programs, so that's a good place to start on our website. If you just go to smc.edu, you can type in, I believe, just transfer admission guarantee in the search bar, and that'll pull up some examples just to get started. We also offer a really cool class for first-year students called Counseling 20, which is a student success seminar where they do cover things like your transfer options and a lot of really great information for first-year students, and that is Counseling 20 Student Success Seminar. This is a class that I recommend of all students to start thinking a little bit, what'll come after SMC.
Perfect. The next question is, any idea of when student loans will be approved? Claudia, would you like to answer this?
Sure. The best thing you can do is always check your financial aid status in your Corsair Connect. So as it was reviewed in the video initially, when you're on your Corsair Connect home screen, you can access financial aid, your financial aid portal under the quick links. It is going to give you personalized information, but it does usually take some time once you have turned in your loan packet to get approved for that. I would definitely reach out to the financial aid office. I know that, again, due to remote services, they are often a little behind. So you can reach out to financial aid directly, or you can also just try to speak with a counselor, and a counselor can help walk you through your financial aid portal to see if there's any other information they may be able to provide you or put you in contact with someone if it has been, more than 3 weeks or 4 weeks and you're still waiting.
Perfect. Thank you. The next question is, I just recently got admitted and I have no idea what's next. Who can I talk to for all of this information? I also want to take summer classes. Would it be late for me since I just got admitted? Great question. As I just showed you guys a few minutes ago, the best thing to do once you get admitted and you have an SMC ID number is to meet with a counselor. So you definitely want to, like I said, go to the homepage, click on Student Services and Counseling, and then sign yourself up for the callback queue so that you can talk to a counselor over the phone. That's the quickest way right now in order to meet with the counselor. So you definitely want to do that. During the call, you guys can cover anything that is of importance to you. So definitely talking about summer classes. As Claudia mentioned, our summer classes are definitely filling up very quickly, but we do still have a lot of availability for fall. That doesn't mean that you can't get a summer class, and that's where the counselor will come in and be able to kind of advise you based on what's still available that might work well with your schedule. You also have the waitlist option for your summer courses. So if there's a class you're really interested in that's already full, please make sure to add yourself to the waitlist for that course so that you could potentially get in if someone else decides to drop the class or something like that. So like I said, the next step is to meet with a counselor. Also, I'm not sure if we reviewed this before, but your SMC ID number. All of you guys should have received that SMC ID number in an email after you applied to Santa Monica College. So if you don't know your SMC ID number right now, please make sure you go back through your emails in order to find that information, because it is very important in order to access your Corsair Connect account. Diana, they would like for you to go over the classes again and the 3 different formats for online learning, please.
Yes, absolutely. I can do that. So all of our classes for summer and fall are going to be taught online, but there is some important information that you should definitely look out for when you're looking through the searchable class schedule. So if you go to the smc.edu webpage and then you click on classes and then search for classes, you'll find the filter, the different filters and search function to search for your classes. And when you pull up the list of classes, there's a little tiny eye that you'll see there that'll give you some more important information about how that class is being taught. So there are a few different ways that professors are teaching the class. The first one is marked flexible. So a class that's marked flexible is a class that is fully online. So think about this as a class that is traditionally taught online, where you go and you have certain work to complete, whether it's readings or different group discussions, but it's sort of done on your own time. And these are the classes that are marked flexible. The second type of class is a class that's marked scheduled. So a class that's marked scheduled is one that does require you to potentially log in at a certain time and day to meet with your professor and your classmates via Zoom or any other platform that they're using. So for example, if you see that the class says, I think I give the example of like a Tuesday and Thursday class from 9 to 10:35, then you should definitely have that time blocked off if it is a scheduled class to log in during that time and meet with your professor. So it'll be a combination of meeting via Zoom and then also completing work through Canvas or other online platforms. And then there's the classes that are marked flexible with scheduled exam. These are classes that where you're going to be completing work through Canvas, but you may have to log into Zoom and meet with your professor to complete quizzes or different exams. So just pay special attention to that, depending on you and kind of how you have your schedule lined up for summer or fall. Just know that that option is there, and that'll give you a little bit more information about how that professor is going to be teaching that class online.
Thank you. The next question is, if Math 2C classes are closed or filled, should I still try to enroll into Math 2? I say this because I recall reading that Math 2C is intended for those in Math 2. So my question is, can I enroll only in Math 2, or do I have to enroll in both classes? Stuart, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah, so it's all based off your placement. So the placement, more often than not, is generated off information that you provided on the SMC application. And for many of our students are taking support classes. So they're often called C in the math area. So concurrent classes. So Math 2 and Math 2C, Math 54 and 54C. So technically the placement is that. And the reason it's listed like that, without getting into the details of the technicalities, is they want to have the original class and then the support class listed differently. But essentially it's one big class. So it's the same instructor. If it were on campus, it would have been the same time, same location, with just like a 10-minute break in between. So it's really one big class combined, but the way it's seen on your placement and the way it's seen on your schedule is that it's two separate parts. So really what you're eligible for is that 2 and 2C. if you try to enroll in the two alone, it should block you from enrollment if you feel that for whatever reason, and I've encountered this in the individual counseling session, the student's like, well, I took calculus in high school, I'm in AP calculus, and maybe there was a misstep in the application, something lost in terms of the application process or just inputting the information. There is a process where a student can contact the math department and challenge that. If you are interested in that, you can let us know. You could send a message and I'll reply to you privately as to that information, because I don't want to put it out there and I don't want to bombard the math department, because it is a lengthy process. So if you feel that the placement is in error or not accurate to where your ability is, totally you have an option to pursue that challenge option. But more often than not, that's where you're placed. So you should hopefully look for those Math 2 and 2C. If they're closed, continue to monitor, get yourself on the open seat notification list, on the wait list, continue to monitor. There's a lot of movement, it's a dynamic system. So even though there are drop deadlines coming, you can check every day and students are making changes. So you may see more sections open up as well.
Great, thank you. The next question is, I play sports, so how would I go about finding classes that fit in my schedule? Claudia, would you like to answer this?
Sure. Okay, so if you are playing a sport, if you've already been in contact with the coach and you know what your practice schedule may be or your training schedule, then you can use the searchable class schedule. It does have advanced functionality where you can search for specific times of day. Typically, a lot of the teams practice in the afternoons, so you would probably be looking for morning classes, and you can go ahead and search for classes, let's say that started as early as 7 a.m. until maybe 1 or 2 if you know that your practice is going to start at 3. So you can search only for classes that are available at those specific time windows. That would be definitely one suggestion I would have for you. In addition, there are some sections, as we briefly mentioned earlier, that are set aside for special programs. Some of those can be sections of classes that are set aside for athletes. So occasionally you will find there's some of those sections that are available, and those tend to maintain their availability later into the summer because they are restricted. And so you can utilize those two options. We do also have counselors available in the athletics department. If you want to find out some more details, if they have any specific tips, I would also suggest you do that. If you visit the athletics website by using our search function on the SMC website, it will direct you to the information for the athletics counselor.
Perfect. The next question is, I want to transfer to a UC with medical classes, but there seems to be a lot of classes that are required. But is it possible to finish classes before transferring? Diana, would you like to answer this question?
Absolutely. So when you're going to transfer, you definitely need to complete 2 different types of classes, your general education and then also your major preparation. So I think this is where it's very helpful to meet with a counselor early on so that we can discuss what types of requirements you'll need to complete, how many classes, and how long it might take if you're attending full-time versus part-time, so that we are tailoring your plan, what we call your educational plan, to your exact goal. So is it possible to finish your general education and your major preparation before transferring? Yes, and a lot of students can do that in 2 years, but it really does come down to your specific goal. So where you want to transfer and what your major may be, because that is going to determine how many classes you have to take and what types of requirements you might have to complete before actually applying for a transfer. So definitely make an appointment to see a counselor, and we can discuss those options with you and kind of map out a timeline so that you have a good idea starting off of how long it would take and what types of classes you should be focusing on.
Great, thank you. The next question is, I was recommended counseling. Is it to help us with choosing our classes for the rest of our terms? I think you might be referring to the counseling class. So the most popular counseling class that we recommend for students is called Counseling 20, and it's titled a Student Success Seminar. And yes, part of that class is it helps you better understand everything you need for transferring. So what that means is it will go over exactly what you need to take for every semester for the rest of the time that you're with us, in order to help you keep track of your goals and ensure that you're staying on track. But it does do a lot more than that too. It's going to talk about, you know, how college is set up, how to be successful in college. So how do you take notes for a college class? How do you study for a test? Time management, and a lot of other skills that will not only help you while you're at SMC, but they're also going to really help you once you transfer and you're at a four-year university as well. So the class is usually meant and very strongly encouraged for students who are entering college for the first time. So it is a course that we do recommend for your first semester or that summer before your first semester. And it is transferable as well. So I just want to be clear about that. It does count towards the 60 units you need to transfer to a UC or to a Cal State campus. The next question is, can graphic design classes be transferred to Cal State Fullerton? Stuart, would you like to answer this question?
Yes, they can. And to my knowledge, I believe Cal State Fullerton does have that program. Many of the Cal States do. But typically graphic design programs can transfer mainly to Cal States, and there are private schools that have that. So I would have to check specifically for the Fullerton program, and that's something with the counselor you would want to check to see what the requirements are for that program with specific graphic design classes. There's graphic design 18, intro, there's a few others. There may be some art design classes, but yes.
I think that we froze a little bit. So let's go ahead and move to the next question. So after talking to a counselor, will I have a better idea of the classes that I should be taking? Do you want to take that, Claudia?
Absolutely. Sure. One of the key things that you will discuss with a counselor when you speak with them on the phone, especially if you're a new student, is they're going to talk to you about completing your education plan. You can start working on that using the My Ed Plan tool that is linked in the Corsair Connect home screen if you want to go ahead and begin working on that. Often students can also start that, but then be unsure of what classes they should be adding. And again, that is what the counselor will go over with you on the phone. We'll discuss with you about your educational goals, if you have a major in mind, and then we will review what those requirements are to help you achieve your goals. So that could be, again, transfer requirements to a specific campus. If you have a specific transfer school that you're thinking about, it's going to be general education requirements. It's going to be usually some math and English. So we will help you create the educational plan. It will be saved, so you will be able to access any classes that the counselors add to your ed plan. And the ed plan is essentially a list of course recommendations. So you have access to it when you actually go back to your Corsair Connect and try to enroll. You'll have the list saved with you. Initially, we will do an education plan just for your first semester and maybe summer if you're still thinking about a summer class, of course, depending on availability. And then you can always call back and meet with a counselor later in the summer or even during your first semester, and we will complete a comprehensive educational plan with you to help you plan out all your future terms as well.
Great, thank you. The next question is, how do we send our AP scores to SMC? Diana, would you like to answer that?
Absolutely. So you can send them through College Board if you would like to get credit for those. I do recommend that you speak with a counselor and have your unofficial scores ready so that we can talk about placement and if you may be able to use that credit. You don't need to send them right away. You could send them a little bit later. But I think the very first step when you have AP scores is to talk to a counselor about how you may apply that credit. We can use that credit a lot of times. Scores of 3, 4, or 5 can often be used for transfer requirements for the UCs and the Cal States. The way that we apply that credit will depend on your goals. So where you want to transfer and how that school may be able to accept it. But definitely connect with us and we can go over that and give you a good solid idea of what credit you may be able to get for those scores.
Great. The next question is, if I was eligible for the SMC Promise and the California Promise, what will happen with FAFSA? So of course you need to submit the FAFSA in order to be considered for the SMC College Promise. So it is very important to get that in. Nothing really happens with your FAFSA per se, but it is important to remember that depending on your family's financial situation, you may be qualifying for additional aid. So that could be in the form of, you know, a Pell Grant or loans. So in the enrollment video we showed, on your Corsair Connect account under SMC Quick Links on the left-hand side of the page, you can select financial aid. That allows you to view your unique financial aid account and what the status of that account is. I highly recommend that you are all checking your financial aid account at least once a week, if not more. The reason why is sometimes SMC does need additional documentation in order to process your financial aid. So you want to be checking that account to make sure that they're not requesting anything additional that they need in order to process everything. And you can also view exactly what you qualify for on there as well. So definitely make sure you check that out. The next question is, I was enrolled in my classes. What's the next step? Because I completed all the steps before. What else do I need to do? Stuart, would you like to answer this question?
Good job enrolling. I would say that's a huge step. There's additional steps that can be taken, and that's on an individual basis. One would be like considering joining some of the special programs. Like our, you know, depending on your interests and what you may be looking for in terms of your experience at SMC, there's programs like Scholars, Adelante, Black Collegians, EOPNS, all have different benefits, all have different maybe program eligibility, but that's one thing we can encourage students to look at. Another thing is books, and when students are enrolling in a class, there are books available for those classes, sometimes listed now. I believe for summer would definitely be available now. Fall, I haven't checked to see if they're available. And then within books, there's different nuances. You know, some instructors will list books as required, recommended. Some have like a $sign crossed out, I believe. Essentially, it's called zero cost books. So books is usually an important step. Because we're in a unique time, normally I would say the student ID card, that isn't possible at this time. So I would say just constantly monitor the more common things like financial aid, as my colleague Vivica talked about, your SMC email, your personal email, just messaging from the college overall. But once you're in your classes, it's more of just what your individual needs are. I know another question that my colleague Claudia answered was athletics. So if you're interested in one thing, it may not apply to another student, but once you have the common aspect of classes, other than financial aid and books, it would just be individual needs to get you ready. One thing I do want to mention, we will have more events coming up throughout the summer for new students coming in. So just to be on the lookout for that, early summer and end of summer as well.
Thank you. The next question is, when I enrolled in my classes, it didn't let me choose a math class, even though I have a math placement. Why? Claudia, would you like to answer this?
Sure. I'm trying to think. So it could be that it's only letting you pick the particular class that that you placed into. If you're unable to get the specific class that is your placement, that could be, it's possible there's some kind of a technical issue, or if you have some kind of AP scores. I mean, I would say in that situation where it's a specific math class you're trying to get, you definitely want to check with the counselor. But before you do that, just make sure when you search on the searchable class schedule, that it's not a class that's reserved for a special program. If you're getting a pop-up message that says that you're unable to enroll in it because it's part of a special program, you would either have to apply to that program ahead of time if it was something you were interested in and are qualified for. The other thing that you could, again, just pay attention to whatever the error message is. Sometimes there's a time conflict. So there are various issues that it should let you know what the error is, but if you can't determine it or you can't figure out how to solve the error, then definitely go ahead and call and speak to a counselor over the phone.
Thank you. The next question is, for SMC Promise, could the 12 units per semester include any units from the summer? For example, 3 units in the summer and 9 in the fall. I'm going to pass this to Stuart since he's the expert on SMC College Promise.
All right, so sorry because I was answering one of the questions in the chat, but the answer unfortunately is no. We wouldn't be able to combine, for SMC Promise specifically, we wouldn't be able to combine units from summer and fall to equal the 12. The 12 would have to be, typically, it doesn't happen in summer, but if a student wanted to do 12 in the summer, conversation best had with the counselor individually, but it's very common for fall. That's when we're typically talking about SMC Promise starting. And the 12 would have to be solely in fall. We wouldn't be able to combine summer or winter, just only in the fall.
Thank you. The next question is, I filed the FAFSA. When I get my financial aid, when will I get my financial awards? I also got scholarships from other organizations, so would that go straight to my pocket if the FAFSA covers all the expenses? Diana, would you like to answer this?
Absolutely. So I know financial aid is packaging right now and putting together those financial aid awards and how much you'll be eligible for. That is eventually going to be available to you in your Corsair Connect account under SMC Quick Links on the left-hand side of your homepage, and you'll be able to see what you're eligible for and accept those awards. It depends for the other organizations and those scholarships, how they are delivering that those funds for you. And I'm not actually really sure. That might be a question for financial aid, or I don't know if another counselor wants to chime in on any information for that.
So it's really, if you have scholarships from private organizations, you really need to check with them on what their policies are. Some of those will go directly to our financial aid office to first cover your fees, and then you would end up just getting a reimbursement check if there's a balance available on your account. There are other organizations which will issue the scholarship check directly to you to use as you see fit. Because as you know, educational costs could include not only your classes and your books, but also things like purchasing a laptop. So it just depends on the awarding organization and how they set up their scholarship disbursement.
Great, thank you guys. The next question is there a list you can view that are strictly for scholars classes? Counselors, please help me out with this. I don't believe you can filter that on the search for classes. Unfortunately, that's not an option. But you can go, I believe, and speak with the scholars counselors, and I'm sure that they could provide you with a list.
Oh, you want to go, Stuart? Yeah.
Oh, no, just, so we do have a PDF version of what the hard copy of the fall schedule would be. And on there, it lists the special programs. So if you go to that PDF version, it's in the same area that my colleague Vivica showed the searchable classes. It says Fall 2020 PDF. When you go through it, there's a section towards the bottom. Yes, so if we go to the fall schedule, it'll eventually, here we go. I like to use the PDF format. It's just easier to follow. So on there, it'll actually have a section for the special program. So the scholars designated sections, Adelante, Black Collegians, EOPNS, some of the different actual counseling programs that when my colleague Claudia was mentioning athletics may have classes or sections of classes reserved for those students. That's also one of those programs. Students with disabilities would be another one. Scholars is one as well. So if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it should be, once you get out of the different list of options in alphabetical order, there should be a section for online classes and there should be a section for special programs at the end. So this isn't used as commonly as a searchable schedule because the searchable schedule is dynamic, real time. But on here, yeah, if we keep scrolling down, it should, unless they've removed it, hopefully they haven't, it should have the different special program sections listed on there.
It's usually towards the very end, yeah. So
yeah, so here we go.
There we go. Yeah, so if we keep going, we'll eventually see STEM and we'll see the scholars program. So, and this is a good thing for students who maybe aren't currently considering joining a special program and you've seen this messaging when you're trying to add classes and it's like, wait, it says I'm eligible for Psych 1, but then when I try to add it, it says I have to be part of the scholars program. You're still eligible for Psych 1 in this example. It's just that particular section is reserved for students in the scholars program. So that's why I mentioned in my previous question that I answered, thing that students could consider is joining one of these programs. It's very advantageous and beneficial to students, and there's different programs with different themes and requirements and whatnot. So check them out.
Great, thank you guys. The next question is, to finish all the general ed classes and the major classes for medical classes to transfer for UC, would I have to take more than 12 units per term? You know, again, it's a very situational question because it very much depends on your exact major and on the schools you want to transfer to. Because, for example, you know, Cal State Long Beach has, you know, slightly different requirements than, let's say, UCLA versus USC. So it really comes down to what schools you want to transfer to and exactly what they require. So we're not trying to keep you here any longer than you absolutely have to be. But depending on the school, they might have a longer list of requirements, which means it's going to take slightly more time in order for you to complete those requirements. So it's really important to meet with a counselor. You know, in a general sense, a lot of STEM students do want to take more than 12 units a semester in order to transfer within the 2 years, if that's something that's very important to you. But again, it's very much going to depend on the schools you want to transfer to. But if you're looking at UCs like UCLA as, let's say, a biology major, yes, there are quite a few classes that you have to complete. So taking something closer to maybe 15 or 16 units might be advantageous in terms of trying to finish as quickly as possible. Does my recommended placement determine the classes that I should be taking this upcoming semester, or can I take those classes in another semester? Claudia, would you like to answer this?
Absolutely. So it really depends a little bit on your situation. Most counselors will recommend that you start English and math in your first semester. That's for a couple of reasons. It's required if you want to earn a degree or if you want to transfer. So it's always better to start getting some of those things out of the way. Also, there are other classes that you may need in the future that have prerequisites, and you may need to complete an English or a math before you can enroll in those other subjects. So that's definitely something to consider. Now, it's always possible that scheduling doesn't work out, the classes are full, or you'd really just want to take a break. And this most often comes up with math. And so English, most students are fine starting. If you want to wait and take a break on math, it is up to you. You don't have to take it in your first semester. It's not a requirement, but there are a couple things to consider. For your major and to achieve your goals, how many math classes will you need to take? If you know you have to take 4 or 5 semesters of math, it's definitely in your best interest to start in your first semester. If you are undecided about your major, one of the things that counselors will discuss with you is what the various math pathways may be. On the placement tab, when you see your math placement, you will notice that there's 2 different pathways. Again, if you're unsure of your major, you may not know which pathway you want to pursue. And in that situation, it can be a good choice to take a semester off and help narrow down your major. One thing I always caution students about, though, math is one of those subjects where if you're not using it, you're going to lose it and you're going to have to do some refreshing. So for a student who didn't take math in their senior year, taking an extra semester off of math is not going to hurt you as much because you've already been out of math for some time. However, if math is something that you may struggle with or you don't particularly enjoy, but you were taking it in your senior year, it actually could be in your best interest to just get through it right away. Because if you take a break, you're going to have to spend a lot of extra time reviewing to bring your math skills back up to par when you eventually enroll. So again, there's no one answer for everyone. It's going to depend on major, on your goals, on your math ability, and whether or not you're undecided. So if you still have doubts after that answer that covers a lot of different scenarios, by all means, speak with a counselor next week and see if they can give you some particular guidance based on your individual situation.
Perfect. And that leads us to our next question, which is, how do I make an appointment with my education counselor? Diana, would you like to answer that?
Absolutely. So I think we went a little over where to find it on our website a little bit earlier, but there is an online line that you join. It's called the QList line, and you would basically join that QList line through our website, and then a counselor would give you a call to discuss that. So it is available on our website by going to counseling and then looking for the join the QList line button to jump into that virtual line for you to meet with counselor.
Perfect, thank you. How do I contact my financial aid advisor? I already applied for FAFSA, but it's not showing up on the SMC site. Stuart, would you like to answer this?
Yeah, I would say that's two-part. One, in terms of contacting the financial aid office, I believe they're not using QList similar to counseling. I believe they have their financial aid email, which is financialaid@smc.edu, and then the number that you could find off the website as well. So you could contact them if necessary. The second part to answering that is I would consider there is a certain amount of time to process certain things. So consider when you applied for the FAFSA, did you list SMC as one of your schools from the beginning? Oftentimes we get students that ultimately attend SMC but weren't initially interested. So if in the scenario of a student applied well before the March 2nd priority deadline, listed SMC as one of their schools, and they still don't see any of their FAFSA or financial aid information on their financial aid portal within Corsair Connect, then I would definitely reach out to the financial aid office just to see if there's, what might have happened. But if it's something to where you recently listed SMC as one of your schools, or maybe recently, like less than 6 to 8 weeks ago, completed your FAFSA, then I might give it another week or so, be patient. You could still reach out, but it may take time to, hear back from you.
Great, thank you. So the next question is, how would we pay for the classes? So right now, I believe the only way to really pay is probably online since our campus is currently closed. So you would actually do that through your Corsair Connect account in the same place where you enrolled for your classes. So on the enrollment video we played in the beginning, it does show it. But towards the bottom of the left-hand side menu, you can click fee assessment to view how much you owe. And then you could click right below fee assessment on pay fees, and you would be able to pay those fees online using probably most likely a credit card or maybe a direct checking account number as well. So that's how you would pay the fees online. So go to Corsair Connect, click on enrollment, click on the semester you would like to pay for, and then select pay fees online. The next question is, can my financial aid pay for my classes? Can grants pay for my classes? Is there a non-resident fee for non-residents? Claudia, would you like to answer this?
Sure thing. So when you receive a financial aid award from SMC, that could include a combination of grants. It could include things like the SMC promise that we've discussed. There could also be, you can choose to apply for a loan, but any type of financial aid that you are receiving can help pay for your classes. It can pay, because the fees that you owe to the college are primarily going to be for your classes. And there are a couple of other fees, things like ID card fee and ASB member fee that are also assessed. And so it can pay for any of those fees. Your other costs, things like books, would go directly to the bookstore, or if you choose to purchase your books from another vendor online, you would be paying them directly. So again, any of that financial aid can be used to pay for your classes. The second part of the question about the non-resident fee, yes, we do have non-resident fees for students that are coming from out of state. And so if you do fall in that non-resident category, you will see that your fees are very different than someone who has gone to high school in California. And so absolutely, you'll notice the differential there. If your financial aid is not enough to cover your classes, as I mentioned, you can apply for loans, and you can do that on the financial aid website. The information regarding a loan application is available. So that's something that you can pursue there.
Great, thank you, Claudia. Are there different counselors to help us in the major we want to pursue in? Diana, would you like to answer this question?
Absolutely. So all counselors right now can assist you in answering any questions that you have about majors. There are some areas that do have a specialized counselor, and we can certainly refer you, but all of the counselors, when you go to join that online queue list, it's called the queue list online counseling line, can assist you and answer any questions that you have about any major that you're interested in.
Great, thank you. I know all schools are different for requirements to transfer within the 2 years, but what are the recommended taken courses overall? Stuart, would you like to answer this question?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
I know all schools are different for requirements to transfer within the 2 years, but what are the recommended courses taken overall?
Yeah, there's some commonalities across the board. We'll start off with for transfer, and often schools want general education and major prep. Major prep would be prerequisite courses in your major area. That's not true for all schools. There are some privates that won't necessarily require it prior to transfer. General education is usually like the curriculum of different areas. More often English and math, which is why we start off with that in regards to the placement. Other types of general education could include arts and humanities, social and behavioral sciences, physical and biological science, but you are correct, it can vary. So, you know, there is something called IGETC, I-G-E-T-C, which is geared towards the UCs. It can cover Cal States in terms of general education curriculum. So you'll often hear that mentioned, but it can vary from private institution, out-of-state schools. So that is where, if you have a particular school in mind, you want to always be advocating for yourself, but connecting with a counselor to make sure that you're not kind of, well, I think I got the hang of it and I figured out my classes. Always check with us. Sometimes requirements change from academic year. So you're correct, it does vary, but I would consider at some point it would be general education classes, major classes, English and math usually factor in. Those are some of the common ones.
Great. Thank you so much to all of our counselors for answering these great questions. It looks like that was our last question, so we are going to wrap up this webinar. We wanted to thank you guys so much for joining us today, taking time out of your Saturday to be with us. We hope that it was helpful in terms of signing up for classes. Again, if you need to talk to a counselor one-on-one for certain situations, or you haven't created an education plan yet, please make sure to do that on Monday so that we can get you enrolled in your classes ASAP. So thank you, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. Bye.